I've been inspired to build a bike that I've wanted to build for years, and it's an old dustbin racer. It's an early Guzzi loop frame. It's going to be a challenge. We're going to put together a pretty healthy motor for it too. Finally got the motor and trans for the mock-up and the wheels. I know it looks like shit now, but this is where it starts. Going through my head is like, oh, maybe I should turbocharge this. The dustbin fairing is, I want to change it. I'm going to make a tubular triple tree up the top here, but I think, with the dustbin they have almost like a cockpit sort of thing as the screen comes down, so I'll have some gauges up here. But I changed, if you remember, we had the curve going this way. I cut these out, inverted them, which is now going to be the seat pan. So I've made this framework here that matches the hoop on the back, and I'm going to have that interlock in there. I've made a little rail so it interlocks. I think we need to vote which one should I use on the Guzzi. Just hope I can make it run with this goddamn thing. So I've cut out the tank sides for the Guzzi. Tricky part is to try and get the same profile on this as what you get on the other side. The flipper and start get the edges a little bit. You can see we're starting to get it. Okay, so I've got the tank sides welded in and I've hammered them down. I can feel a few imperfections, but it's close. I spend more time doing this than actually building and forming the tank. So you can see I've tried to shape the tank, keep the same sort of lines as the tailpiece here. I just had to make this nose piece out of one piece, starting at 430. But I've got it pretty good, it's really close. This is going to be my front piece. Tomorrow, it's going to come over here to be the windshield, so it's going to come up and then come back over here, go around the handlebar. So I'm making the top part of the fairing here, and fuck it, beat the shit out of this thing. Not sure if this is what Mr. Daimler and Benz had originally intended for this, but hey, we're here at Joe's, Guzzi doctor. I think he's locked me out. So this is the case we're going to use on mine, right?
Right, that is a late model 950cc case. Right. It'll be a good runner.
Yeah.
With the turbo, we're not going too crazy with it. We don't want to go up the compression too much, and so we're going to run stock compression, stock pistons, and let the boost take care of the performance.
I'm going to run a fuel pump because of the turbo, a regulator, some other stuff, so I can have a lot of this stuff up in here. Yeah, I think we got clearance, Clarence. Once I get this lined up, I'm going to start building the sides here. It'd be easier if I made the fairing out of cardboard, or maybe paper mache. Just to make you aware of the process with all the pieces, putting them together, you can see I'm close to finish this. So I'm going to knock this down a little bit here. We're going to let it, which is fucking hot. Turn the goddamn... And then we'll move on to filing and then shaping it so it almost looks seamless, which is what I've got to do all the way around the sides, everywhere else. That's what makes it so tedious. I know it looks like shit at the moment, but I am getting closer, and got this side welded in, real close to metal finished. Which side do you like better? This side that doesn't look like shit at the moment, or this side that looks like shit at the moment? Okay, now I've cut this with the plasma. I'm going to file this, clean it up a little bit, and we'll try and duplicate exactly the same thing on the other side. Yeah, this is kind of tedious. It takes a bit of time. I'm sure there's probably a tool intended for doing this. And again, a lot of people will call me kind of a tool anyway. So, tricky thing when you're doing it on the inside here, obviously I can't see where I'm hammering, so it's like working in the dark. I do some of my best work in the dark. Decided to use the original pinion peg mounts with this an ugly looking piece of shit on here. I'm going to cut this off. I'm going to put a hole in here and I'm machine up some nice inserts that go in there, get welded in. This is going to be my mount for my rear set. I think this is going to look pretty nice. Dirty job that someone's got to do it. So there we go. Got a bit of polish on it now. Looks slicker than a sewer rat with a gold tooth. That fuck. That fits in there like a cock in a sock. Look at that. A little bit of lattice work there. Got a little fancy, stainless steel, obviously the foot pegs. There's some of the things we're going to hide underneath here. Because of the turbo system I'm going to run, I'm going to be running stainless 1.5 inch coming up around here. I've got some flanges made up. One side I'm going to put a stainless band clamp. Turbo is going to be positioned right about here. So I'm going to tack the exhaust pipe onto the flange for the turbo, and then we'll see how that looks. Just like a bought one, as we'd say. That's going to look good. I think it needs a little bit more polish. It's not shiny enough. I think once this pipe's polished, like I said, all this is stainless. Once it's polished up, get rid of the seams, some nice welds on there. That's going to look good. But my header pipe's coming up into here, back into the turbo. I'm also going to run, just waiting for my 2 silicon pipes here. I'm going to run a plenum here. This will go in straight over here. It's going to produce a little bit of boost, and it should be fun. Just giving this a quick polish on this side. I want to have it so with everything to work on underneath, a couple of quarter turn Zeus's, you can just take the fairing off. You can get to everything for some maintenance. What we're going to do is, I want to follow this line. That's kind of shit. I can't draw for shit. I'll cut this out with the plasma. I'm going to make some nice scoops and then weld them in here and blend them in here. They'll come out with a nice cup. Should get enough cool air into there to cool the exhaust headers on top of the motor, the head, cool the engine. So I got some polishing to do. It's a fucking dirty job, but someone's got to do it. Joe Guzzi Doctor's got some really nice brown wrinkle finished old valve covers. We're going to run some brown grips, nice brown, give it that vintage racer look. Had a few of you asking about my plating process with nickel and copper, and anyway, this is what we got. I've fired it up today, got everything up to temperature. Got a heat sensor in here. This is my nickel. It's that green shit in there. And then this one, fuck. This is a copper solution. They're what's called, these are anodes. So these copper plates, obviously, in the copper solution. Nickel plates in the nickel solution. But yeah, this stuff's safe. Look, this solution here. It's a little agitator in the bottom, keep everything moving. Got the anodes. This is sulfuric acid. And we'll take some distilled water. We'll put this is my contact bar here from the power supply. I've got 2 bars are in here, negative and positive. But you can see, even just after a few minutes in there, it's starting to get that butler nickel look. We'll leave them bastards in there for about an hour. Pull one of the bearings out so it sits on the bearing cup there. This is the hub for the dustbin. We'll turn that fucker on like that. This is completely safe. You can do this with round stuff. It works really good. Holy shit, that thing's moving. It's a quick way to do round stuff. Oh, look at that now. Gonna make this seat base, which is, we're gonna have upholstered. We're gonna make the back here, gonna make it all out of one piece, and then we're gonna form it, hammer it to fit around the edge nice, and then we're gonna have the front upholstered. And now, I'm just cutting it out. Got it cut out, annealed a little. Now we'll shape it. What I need to do is find something the shape of this frame so I can hammer this. So probably the best thing to do, use the fucking frame. It's not going to be this low because we're going to put wheels on it and probably put an engine in it too. You got the Avons mounted on the original Barani rims. You got some battle scars, but they cleaned up good, polished them. Got some polished brass nipples. I like brass nipples. I made these. Guess what I'm going to do with these? I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with these. Just think of this like a sequel. The other part was, I don't know, would that be a prequel? What I've done, I've formed up a pair of scoops. Don't worry, there's one on the other side. This is the nerve-wracking part. It's like you spend all this time shaping this metal, getting it straight. and cut a big fucking hole in it. Oh shit. I'm going to start hammering this on the shot bag and then get this to be a nice little scoop in there. We'll put some nice screen in there. I'm thinking brass or something would look good. Okay, so I've knocked down some of the highs and lows. So we get this all tidied up and trim this out a little bit. I'll get this fucking welded in, finish it up, hammer it up, file it. Look like it fucking grew there. What I want to do, I was going to put a headlight up here. Decided against that because I kind of like this all smooth like that. I'm going to French some little LED projector lights like these. So I'm going to make some little tubes down the front here. This will be Frenched in there. Time to undress the bitch. We got to take care of the stuff that's inside there. Make this fucker run. That was quick, wasn't it? So it's undressed, ready to start looking at what we have to do to make it run. I'm doing a blow-through system with the turbo. Small turbo, so I'm going to mount this up here. Just a small low-pressure fuel pump. I am going to regulate that, so it'll be regulated, tied into the boost, so it's going to change pressure as we need it. They're going to run a blow-off valve on the front here, vacuum operated. Maybe it's overkill, also have a wastegate. I thought the plumbing thing would be a lot more straightforward. I knew I'd have some little issues here and there, but space. One of the first things I'm attacking is the oil supply to the turbo. I'm going to sneak that in there. I've already pre-drilled and tapped my crankcase. It's all about fit. One of the other things, because I'm using these little short intake manifolds, I need to find a vacuum supply, which can really suck. Well, I know we've had a few days off with the videos, but as I've said, I'm not independently wealthy. And then aluminum retains a lot of heat. You would think I would know that. This is the intake plenum I fabbed up. This bastard's gonna go right in here. There she is, Bob's your uncle. Because we're going for the vintage look, it's like, I should get some of that cloth-covered ignition wire. How often does it happen that you have something laying around in your shop, the right color and the right length? I'll be fucked. It never fucking happens that way. I've got a lot of things going here. I was going to mount the battery up the front to hide it behind the fairing. Decided against that. Too much dissipated heat from the exhaust down here. It's open. So I decided I'm going to mount it underneath the transmission here. I've made up a nice little tray here. Goes there. I like to keep things really clean and very minimalistic if I can. We're really close to firing it up. Calculating the amps left in the battery to be around about 5/8 of fuck all amps. I could mount my gauges in here, that'd be kind of boring, fuck that. So we'll cut this out in aluminum, start forming it. I want to make it look a little interesting. I don't want a boring old just flat piece of aluminium in there. And then we just put a couple of, it's going to have minimal gauges, just small gauges, oil pressure, fuel pressure, idiot lights. You're cordially invited to show your work, April 21st to the 23rd. Thank you, fellas. Hopefully, this will give you an idea how you can use ordinary fucking items to make something. I think it's cool. So I got my dash done, my ignition switches, but this tack needs to fit in here. Obviously, that's not going to fucking fit. So we're going to use some imagination. It needs to be smaller, plus I got some brass accents. We want to add some brass accents. I found an old aluminium fire extinguisher. Now if I cut the end off, I can get a nice end with a bottom in it where I can put the fucking guts of the tack in there. Just want to make a nice bezel to hold the glass. Went over to the scrapyard there, and they're nice enough to let me go through their scrap pile. I found this. I know this looks like shit at the moment. I got enough meat left on there. I can machine that off, and I can do a recess in there for the glass. This is going to look fucking awesome. So it's starting to look a little prettier. Obviously, I'm going to part some of this off. It doesn't need to be this long. Is there something in my eye? What? Oh, like a cock in a sock. That thing's lovely. I got to clean up the glass, but what do you reckon? Has a good look. A little bit of brass there. Said we'll put two more. I'm going to put oil pressure gauge here and probably a boost gauge over this side, and I'll machine up a little brass bezel for that because I got so much aluminium and shiny shit and no paint. With the brown accents, I think the brass looks nice, gives it a vintage look too. Got in early this morning. I was hoping to get it to run on a gravity feed system without a fuel pump. Small turbo, probably doesn't need it. This morning I probably installed more pipe than Rod and Jeremy on a good day. Let's kick it in the guts and see what she does. A little bit of dialing in, but it sounds fucking tops, I reckon. I think I'm running what I like to call a RAF mixture. That's what we know in the trade is rich as fuck. You can smell it. Shit, you can taste it. It's running so much gas. Better to be rich at the moment, though, than too lean and melt the fuck out of everything in the top end. But now I'm going to tidy all this up and make it look neat as a fucking pin. Just got to dial it in now. She'll be a fucking ripper. Google Ron Jeremy. It'll make sense. So, now that I've got it running, it seems kind of redundant, but I'm going to take the whole fucking thing apart because all this, I tend to be a little anal. I want to get all these hoses and lines and I like to call them the Ron Jeremy pipes, get it all nice and clean and tidy, nice bends in all these. These are the ones that I've got coming out of the intake plenum, pressurize my carbs. I got the vacuum operated fuel regulator up here, so I get a small pump, comes through here. This keeps me about 1 or 2 pounds over boost pressure where I pressurize the carbs, and it's like, why I decided to turbocharge this motherfucker, I made so much more work for myself, but fuck it, it'll be awesome. Thing's gonna be a blast to ride. So, we're gonna start disassembling and go from there. Don't fucking rush me. Rome wasn't built in a fucking day. Just in case some of you are wondering what we did with the motor, I was lucky with this one. Usually I build my own motors, but Joe Willano, the Guzzi doctor, does fucking great work. He put this motor together for me. It's balanced. We have a Lighten flywheel. The flywheel's down to I think 6 3/4 pounds, which is from 12 and a bit. That's a lot of weight reduction with the turbo. So I'm pretty happy with the way it runs, with what we've got done to the motor. Like I said, all the rotating assembly, everything's balanced. Got about 9.5 to 1 compression, which is a bit for a turbo motor, but we're not running a lot of boost, so it should be pretty good. Should pull really well. Bet you it does more than pull the skin off a fucking rice pudding, that's for sure. Run a pair of 36mm Del Autos, which I've got the jetting pretty much dead nuts now. So there you go, and I'm running a 4-speed, an old 4-speed, which is a clunky old fucker, but as you heard, it runs pretty fucking good. Recently, we've had some concerns about safety and my lack of safety practices in the shop. Just set things straight. Should never leave the chuck key in the chuck. It's, when I went to trade school, same thing, you'd get into a shitload of fucking trouble for doing that. So don't do stupid things that I do on these videos. I never really drank the fucking solution from the nickel plating. My parents raised me to be somewhat responsible with shit like this. Like, my dad always said to me, what kind of idiot are you? And when I was a kid, I was like, wow, I have a choice. Stupid things like, yes, you know, when you're grinding, wear eye protection, don't leave the key in the chuck. Maybe I went too far. Yeah, I've never been accused of going too far. Another thing my dad said to me is like, son, you must be the fucking milkman's. And I sort of took that as a compliment because the milkman looked way better than my father. Normally when I build a bike, the tank's the fucking hero. You know, it's the centerpiece of the metalwork, but this thing's overshadowed by its big brother, the fucking fairing. So the poor tank's like a red-headed stepchild. Gas tank's kind of important. You gotta have somewhere to put your petrol. The tank needs a little bit of finishing, and this might be a surprise, there's no fucking bottom in it. I formed the tunnel, which obviously I've got to clear my coil connections here with plenty of room because of the electrical. I'll put some rubber on there. So I've got my tunnel. So I put the hole in here, and then I machined up this bung, and I've gone 1/2 inch so I can flow some gas. And this has got to be welded in, nice elbow. I'm putting a nice high flow petcock there, all nickel plated. It's going to look fucking awesome. I'm going to get all these little, see where it's polished as I'm filing here. I'm getting my high and low spots, then I can go back in there. Bullseye pick. We're starting to get it pretty smooth. So anyway, we got to that point. The reason I do this before I put the bottom in is because once I put the bottom in, I can't do anything about the dents or anything. So I've basically got to polish this so it looks fucking tits, then weld the bottom in and hope you don't drop it and put a fucking dent in it. So anyway, that's our next step. We'll put some polish on this. Okay, the reason I put this on, it makes things safer, but it's not so much safety, it's just to keep the shit out of my face. You know, fucking black shit all over the place. So we're going to polish this and see how straight it is before we weld the bottom in. You can sort of see I got my fucking thing. Yeah, I think that's straight enough. This is where my weld was here, which is the most important part where I'm, finishing the welding and I get the ripples. But like I said, this is the preliminary polish. Make sure my metal's straight. So yeah, now I can see I got it pretty straight. A few people have been asking what this bung here, this threaded bung up here is for. This bung here, to be honest with you, I have no fucking idea. No, I do. It's the return line from the regulator, the overflow. Oh, fuck yeah. So I bet you I'm the only bike builder that's going to the Handbuilt next week that's scrambling last minute to get shit finished, right? Yeah, I bet you there's a lot of people across the country scrambling to get finished for next week. Look forward to seeing you all there. As some of you probably know, when I was welding on this the other day, I had this pretty much finished welding the bottom in. I picked it up, slipped, dropped this fucking dent right there. Of course, the bottom's welded in, can't get behind there. You know, a lot of it's because I've been busy as a fucking one-legged man in an ass-kicking competition. What I've done, I've filed it down so I can see my area of the dent. I made this up, piece of 1/2 inch rod, bent it and everything. So I've worked out about the distance here. I've marked it where it is on the inside there. Put a little alignment mark there. And this is what we're going to do. The thing is, if I tried to file this out completely, I started with 80 thou thick aluminum by the time I wheeled it, everything else. But I think it's actually right on a weld there. So in one way it's good because I've got a bit more material there, but at the same time it's kind of thick, it's hard to get open. Yep, starting to get it already. I've got it up a bit now, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to run the file over it. It's starting to come out. I've raised it up. Now I'm just taking some of the high spots off. Yep, it's getting small. Again, I've got this measured off here. Now I've got some witness lines, so if I line that up, that's in line with the dent, so I've got an idea where it is. This is my line. Right there, that's where the dent is. So, it's kind of like using a bullseye pick. Just need almost there. That she's almost gone. Well, Helen Keller would be fucking happy to see it, I know that. This will probably sand out with some 320. Polish it, no one will ever fucking know, except us. Keep it a secret. No more dent. I'm going to hit it on the buff. That's where our dent was. Fucking good as gold. So here we are, day before I have to leave for the Handbuilt Show. So got a long drive, gonna load it up tomorrow, head down. I'm excited, it's gonna be fucking great. Brian at Super Shocks was nice enough to give me this set of custom shocks, which, you know, they're modern, but damn do they suit this thing. These are fucking nice shocks. He fucking spoiled me. So check out Super Shocks, these things are fucking great. Should be a really fun weekend. So I'm almost done. A little bit of polishing left to do on the fairing. So to finish up with the bezels, put the screws in there, polish this up a little bit. Finish it. Jesus fucking Christ. So a few people have referred to this as steampunk. I don't like that. It's not fucking steampunk. I look forward to getting there. It's going to be a great weekend. I hope a bunch of you are going. Come up and say hello. Buy me a beer. Friday's the maid's day off, so I gotta do the fucking polishing. But no more polished bike. This is the last one. Everything's flat black from now on. It's easier. Sick of this bullshit. Jesus. The more you polish, the closer you look, the more imperfections you find. The reception I got last night when we got here, it was overwhelming. I'd like to thank everyone that come up and said hello, and I'm sure I'm going to see a bunch more people, you know, as the day and the weekend goes on. It's like, I mean, especially Alan and his guys, are just, that southern hospitality, I guess. Thanks again to everyone for the support and interest in this. It's been overwhelming. Thank you.